Welcome, dreamers and drama seekers. The narrator's voice drifts through the stillness, velvet and commanding. Before we begin, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. If you love Billionaire drama, hit like and subscribe. The words shimmer, beckoning listeners to step into a world built on ambition and fragile hearts. In mere moments, you'll witness a spark that ignites a war between genius and power. But tonight, your voice matters, so drop that city, town, or country below. Silence falls, then the soft hum of a private jet's engines fills the soundscape. Imagine plush cream leather, the hush broken only by hushed conversation and the distant click of champagne flutes. Beyond the window, moonlight glints off an ocean of clouds, hinting at the heights to which wealth can carry you. Yet in this luxurious cocoon, all is not as serene as it seems. A forgotten secret stirs in the back of a brilliant woman's mind. The camera of your mind lingers on an opulent penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows framing a glittering city below. Crystal chandeliers drip like frozen waterfalls over marble floors. A grand piano stands silent in one corner, draped with a silk scarf. Every detail whispers of extravagance, but also isolation. Who wanders these vast rooms alone? Who must navigate the cold corridors of power to protect a whispered dream? Somewhere in the night, a single light burns in a study lined with leather-bound volumes and humming equipment. A lone figure, our protagonist, hovers above a cluttered desk. Test tubes, blueprints, and a half-finished prototype lay scattered like clues in a grand mystery. Already, you sense her unyielding drive and the weight of every discarded patent application she's ever faced. Her hands tremble with anticipation or fear. Now imagine a storm gathering far below, media tycoons, jealous rivals, and whispered rumors all sharpening their claws. They hunger for the next scandal, the next headline that will eclipse every story before. And at the heart of it, a biotech empire teeters on the brink of collapse. The Voss legacy, built on cold ambition and flawless results, has encountered a flaw, one that only our heroine's brilliance can fix. The narrative cuts back to that private jet, where a dark silhouette stands, a man whose name sends shivers through boardrooms worldwide. Cassian Voss, the biotech baron, stares at the horizon with steel blue eyes and a jaw set like tempered alloy. Rumor paints him ruthless, but tonight, something softer flickers in his gaze: desperation. His empire's crown jewel is dying, and he needs a miracle. Lay your ear close and hear the soft whisper of tension stretched taut between two worlds. Raw innovation and corporate dominion. They've clashed before. His gatekeepers dismissed her idea. She walked away. Now fate has drawn her back, and the gears of destiny begin to grind. Every heartbeat echoes the promise of friction and inevitable attraction. Take a breath. Feel the thrill of the unknown. You've summoned the courage to step into this tale of pride and redemption, where every glance carries weight, and every gesture could seal a pact or shatter a dream. A soft piano key rings out, then fades, like hope suspended on a single note. But who is she, truly? Dr. Elisa Marquette, brilliant, unbowed, and fiercely independent, hails from a coastal town where lab equipment was scarce but dreams were boundless. She built her empire on grit, late nights, and endless what-if-s. Yet the moment she presented her patent, doors slammed shut. Tonight will she reclaim what was taken? And who is he beneath the tailored suit and facade of power? Cassian Voss carries the weight of generations in his shoulders. His family demands results. His board demands profits. A single misstep could topple their dynasty. But deep within, he wonders if there's more to life than numbers on a balance sheet. Might the woman he scorned hold the key to his salvation? Feel the electric anticipation as these two trajectories hurtle toward collision. The city lights below blur into pulses, echoing every heartbeat. Somewhere in the hush, a clock ticks down to the moment that changes everything. Listeners, lean in. Can you sense the spark ready to ignite? Remember, the narrator intones, what would you do in Elisa's shoes? Comment below and let us know. The invitation lingers, a thread pulling you deeper into the drama. Suggestions of betrayal, redemption, and kisses stolen beneath moonlit terraces swirl in your mind. Now, as the scene dims, listen closely to the wind through the jet's cabin. It carries a question, soft yet impossible to ignore. In the quiet before the storm, what secret drives a biotech baron to seek the genius he once discarded? All is poised on a knife's edge. You've stepped across the threshold. Now, where are you watching from? A crimson carpet unfurls across polished marble at the grand entrance of Voss Tower. Towering pillars of white limestone frame a yawning doorway where tuxedos and silk gowns swirl like planets in orbit. Uniformed attendants guide guests through velvet ropes, their voices hushed but urgent. Crystal chandeliers hang like frozen constellations overhead, scattering light into thousands of dancing reflections. The air tastes of anticipation, each breath flavored by the promise of innovation and influence. Here, power takes shape in whispered negotiations, clandestine handshakes, and the memory of fortunes made or lost. Gleaming globes of glass and crystal drift overhead, tethered by gilded chains. Each chandelier's facets fracture light into prismatic rainbows that ripple across the ceiling. At a glance, they appear delicate, but up close, their weight is undeniable. Hundreds of pounds of carved crystal and gold-plated steel hover above the crowd. Their brilliance commands reverence, casting jeweled patterns on tuxedo jackets and silk bodices. Beneath their glow, ambition feels tangible, as though every secret desire could be illuminated and exploited by a single flash of brilliance. Rows of tables draped in ivory linens flank the room, laden with sculptures of ice holding flutes of champagne. Servers glide between them, barefoot like dancers rehearsing an elaborate ballet. The soft tinkle of glasses punctuates murmured greetings. Rich fragrances swirl, white rose, sandalwood, and the faintest hint of ozone from hidden air purifiers. Each guest carries an aura of cultivated refinement, yet under polite smiles and polite laughter, competitive currents shift like ripples on a dark sea. Who will ride the next wave to fortune's shore? Every step on the polished marble echoes, a muted percussion to the unfolding pageant. Veins of charcoal and pearl run through the stone, mirroring the veins of ambition coursing through the attendees. Here, gossip slips from one cluster to the next like a whispered contagion. Candlelit candelabras perch atop ornate pedestals, their flames dancing in the drafts of passing bodies. Shadows lean into corners, as though collecting secrets. This place is a labyrinth of polished facades and hidden agendas, where trust is as fragile as spun glass. At the far end, a raised dais holds sleek white pedestals showcasing the Voss Foundation's latest prototypes. Soft spotlights trace their contours. A palm-sized device humming with potential, a vial of luminescent serum shaking gently in chilled water, and a chrome-plated exoskeleton glove that promises to rewrite human mobility. Each exhibit is accompanied by holographic displays floating mid-air, illuminating specifications with ghostly precision. They promise miracles, immediate cures, longer lifespans, eradicated diseases, yet the hush around them crackles with skepticism. Along the perimeter, polished black panels display ticker-style headlines. VOSS Biotech PROFITS plunge. Inventor's patent rejected. Scandal in the making. Reporters cluster at velvet ropes, their cameras poised, notebooks open. Flashbulbs stutter like rapid heartbeats whenever a prominent figure passes. Microphones thrust forward, eager for sound bites. Even in this gilded hall, the promise of tomorrow's headline looms large. Behind every smile, a journalist's pen hovers, waiting to drain confidence drop by drop. In a curtained alcove, discreet security scans every guest's credentials. Silver-haired officers stand sentinel by reinforced doors. Their faces are impassive masks, their gestures speak of practiced vigilance. Metal detectors hum softly. ID badges glint under blue-tinted lights. Every photograph, every social media check, pre-approved by Voss Enterprises AI. No one slips through unvetted. Yet even the most thorough screening can't filter out ambition or envy. The real threat here isn't a planted device, it's the unpredictable spark of human rivalry. Beyond the crowd, a velvet-roped lounge shimmers in semi-darkness. Plush chaise longues curve like crescent moons beneath lanterns that glow with a warm amber hue. Champagne flows freely, poured into tall flutes etched with the Voss crest, a soaring winged helix. Guests drift here to renew alliances, broker deals, or simply catch a breath. Soft piano notes rise from a distant corner. Some slip away from the glare of interest to whisper in hushed tones, sealing fates with every syllable. At the center of the room, Cassian Voss stands statuesque beneath a dome of light. His tailored midnight blue tuxedo hugs broad shoulders. His crisp white shirt contrasts sharply with storm-dark hair. He surveys the scene with a practiced calm, lips pressed in a line of control. Yet in his steel blue eyes, a flicker of something else, urgency. Every tentacle of this empire depends on tonight's reception. One misstep, one spilled rumor, could topple all he's built. His gaze sweeps the prototypes on display, resting on the vial of serum that glows faintly like a captured star. He remembers dismissing its inventor's patent months ago, calling her theory impractical. Now, whispers say the formulation is the only hope for a faltering trial. The irony feeds a quiet anger at himself. He once thought he needed nothing from her. Tonight, he must decide whether to swallow pride or invite genius back into his domain. Through a narrow window behind the stage, you catch a glimpse of a hidden lab. Chrome-plated counters gleam under fluorescent lights. Rows of pipettes stand at attention beside microscopes and centrifuges. Beyond the glass, a figure labors over calculations, a pale glow illuminating determined features. She moves with purpose, every measured drop of reagent another step toward vindication. The corridor outside her workspace buzzes with footfalls, but inside, time slows to the rhythm of her breath. That figure is Dr. Elisa Marquette. Her auburn hair is pulled into a precise knot, stray strands framing high cheekbones. Dark circles under her eyes speak of sleepless nights. Lab coat sleeves are rolled to her elbows. She balances a clipboard and slides into conversation with an assistant, voice steady but low. When she speaks of molecular bonds and cellular pathways, even the polished investors in expensive suits pause to listen. Yet few dare approach the glass barrier separating her from the glittering world beyond. Tonight, Eli stands on the cusp of re-entry into this world she once walked away from. Every corner of this gala reminds her of rejection. The silent frown of a board member, the triangular file labeled Marquette patent, declined. But the serum in that vial has her name in every whisper. She sharpens her resolve, breath catching when the music swells. She must stay focused. One momentary lapse could cost her everything. Meanwhile, Cassian straightens his cufflinks, stepping off the dais toward the main hall. The crowd's buzz dims as he approaches. His presence alone parts the sea of luxury. Glasses lower, conversations halt mid-sentence. He nods courteously, a practiced smile, but his mind races. He needs a meeting, an alliance, a miracle, and he knows exactly where to find it. Soft strains of a string quartet rise from a mezzanine balcony. A cellist's bow glides across strings, eliciting a deep, resonant note that vibrates through crystalware. Guests pause to drink in the aria, transfixed by the melding of grace and tension. Candle flames shiver in time with the music, casting quivering halos against polished metal. In that moment, the gala feels suspended, as though the world holds its breath and waits for catastrophe or triumph. A hush falls, then applause ripples through the crowd. Waiters appear with silver trays bearing canapes, smoked salmon roses, truffle-scented mushrooms, caviar nests perched on wafer-thin crackers. Each bite is a promise of indulgence, a fleeting comfort before the storm. Glasses clink again, and the undercurrent of ambition swells. Conversations resume with renewed fervor. Synergies to explore, mergers to propose, reputations to salvage. Upstairs, the mater signals the lifting of a heavy velvet curtain. Beyond it lies the VIP suite, a labyrinth of plush seating areas, private bars, and secluded niches. Here, the truly influential gather, shielded from prying eyes. Trades are made in near silence, contracts slid across lacquered tables, sealed by discreet signatures. Deals struck here echo through markets and boardrooms far below. Eli's assistant materializes at her elbow, whispering that the VIP suite is ready. Heart pounding, Eli straightens her jacket. She steps toward the curtain, each footfall echoing on stone. Beyond that threshold lies confrontation, opportunity, or both. She hesitates for a heartbeat, glances back at the lab she calls sanctuary, then moves forward. Every nerve in her body thrums with anticipation. Downstairs, Cassian's path converges with hers. He steps into the VIP suite, pausing as the curtain falls shut behind him. The hush here is absolute. No cameras, no reporters, only the soft murmur of minds calculating risk. He breathes deeply, smoothing the lapels of his jacket. In moments, he will stand across from the woman who dared challenge him. Tonight, they will renegotiate destiny itself. A crystal decanter of aged whiskey sits on a side table, its amber contents catching the light like trapped fire. Cassian pours a measure, the liquid sighing as it fills a heavy glass. He raises it in silent acknowledgement, to power, to possibility, to a fragile alliance. Every second ticks toward their meeting. Outside every door, the world waits, but inside this chamber, the stakes feel infinite. Lights dim in the main hall as a projector flickers to life, casting holographic tendrils across the ceiling. A voice announces the evening's centerpiece, the unveiling of Voss Enterprises' newest initiative. The crowd hushes, faces upturned, eyes gleaming with expectation. All that remains is one last revelation, one secret that can redeem a patent's worth or bury it forever. And now, behind closed doors, two silhouettes move closer, one driven by wounded pride, the other by desperate hope. The threshold trembles between them. What secret lies beneath the chandeliers, waiting to shatter crowns or forge kingdoms? Dr. Elisa, Eli, Marquette grew up in a weathered seaside cottage, where gulls cried above salt-stained shingles and the horizon surrendered to endless possibility. Her earliest memories traced the curve of ocean waves, each rise and fall a lesson in persistence. At 8, she salvaged broken thermometers and rusted coils from her father's workshop, piecing together makeshift experiments beneath a single lantern. Every late night, the gleam in her eyes rivaled the lantern's glow, an ember of genius waiting to ignite. By 12, Eli's notebooks overflowed with schematics. She sketched molecular chains in margins, scribbled formulas between math homework, and painted diagrams of microscopic cells. Her mother, a school teacher, watched with equal measures of pride and fear. Pride in her daughter's voracious curiosity, fear that such brilliance would strain a small town's patience. Yet teachers marveled at Eli's questions. Why does this enzyme bond fail at low temperatures? What if we could coax cells to regenerate nerve tissue? High school brought triumph and torment. On the science fair stage, Eli unveiled a prototype that purified water with a biofiltration process of her own design. Judges whispered prodigy, while classmates whispered weird. Beneath the auditorium's fluorescence, applause thundered, but after lights, isolation closed in. Senior prom felt like an alien rite. Silk dresses and starchy tuxedos floated around her. Laughter warmed everyone but her. She excused herself to the chemistry lab, finding solace in Petri dishes rather than punch bowls. There, the silent hum of incubators felt like a companion. Leaving home at 17, Eli earned a scholarship to Artemis Institute of Technology. The campus sprawled across verdant hills, marble columns inscribed with names of Nobel laureates. She arrived with a single suitcase and a head full of theories. Lecture halls soon bowed to her questions. Professors scrabbled notes as she challenged established dogma. In crowded labs, she balanced pipettes like a conductor's baton. Classmates alternated between reverence and resentment. But Eli cared little for social rituals. Her world pulsed inside centrifuge cycles and electron microscope slides. At 21, she met her mentor, Dr. Lionel Crane, a frail genius with trembling hands and a reputation for breakthrough cancer research. In his twilight years, Crane saw in Eli the spark he once possessed. He offered guidance and a worn leather journal, its pages yellowed with half-forgotten experiments. Under his tutelage, Eli refined her techniques, learning to coax human cells into regrowth and mapping protein-folding pathways by night, fueled by cold coffee and relentless wonder. Graduation brought both laurels and loss. Crane passed away during her final term, his last breath a whisper urging her to push the boundaries. At the commencement ceremony, Eli placed her hand on the podium, glimpsed Crane's journal in her mind's eye, and vowed to carry forward his legacy. Diploma in hand, she skipped the confetti-slick gala, choosing instead to pore over data in her campus office until dawn. Success felt empty without purpose. By 23, Eli founded Marquette Biotech in a repurposed boathouse overlooking the rocky shore where she played as a child. She converted fishing nets into safety curtains, hung driftwood shelves for glassware, and stashed donated microscopes among sand-smoothed beams. The boathouse thrummed with ambition. Bench-scale reactors bubbled in corners, and whiteboards overflowed with equations. Volunteers, bright-eyed students who admired her tenacity, joined her cause. Together, they aimed to harness stem cell therapies for neurodegenerative diseases. Early victories arrived swift. A grant for a patentable scaffold that encouraged axon regeneration, a journal article co-authored in Life Science Monthly, and local press dubbing her Coastline's beacon of hope. Yet each accolade stung with the memory of rejection letters. Major firms dismissed her proposals as quixotic or unscalable. They offered polite nods, cursory meetings, then silence. Even funding agencies asked for more data, a polite euphemism for not enough pedigree. Still, Eli persevered, pitching at every conference, refining proposals with merciless precision. At 26, she secured a soft funding round from a small angel investor network. The funds translated to new equipment, high-precision spectrometers, deep freezers humming at 80 degrees C, and a custom-built bioreactor. Dreamlike nights in the boathouse lab became usual. Cells dyed fluorescent rose under UV lamps. Assays glowed like constellations. She drifted between bench and notebook, heart thrumming whenever a culture survived a stress test. In those moments, triumph tasted of salt-sprayed air and the endless horizon. Then came the patent filing. Eli meticulously documented every process: solvent compositions, reaction times, sterilization protocols. She submitted her application to the Biotech Patent Authority with hope buoyed by evidence. Weeks ticked by. A polite acknowledgement letter arrived. Then silence. 2 months passed, no response. 3 months. Anxiety replaced wonder. When the refusal finally came, it landed like a thunderbolt. Lack of novelty. No explanation, no meeting. Her scaffold design dismissed. Her dreams paused. The day she received the office envelope, gray clouds swallowed the sun. She tucked the letter into a drawer, avoiding her team's concerned glances. Behind the glass pane door, she stared at her reflection, wild auburn curls, eyes rimmed red. That night she wandered the shoreline, waves lapping at her thoughts. Each tide retreating, returning like her hopes, rising then receding. She whispered to the sea, vowing to prove them wrong. But somewhere in the recesses of her heart, doubt settled like driftwood. When an offer came from Voss Enterprises 2 months later, she nearly laughed. A corporate titan wanted to license her technology. They summoned her to a gleaming boardroom, towering glass walls, panoramic city views. Yet one executive, a sharp-jawed man in a charcoal suit, dismissed her claims in 2 sentences. The process is impractical at scale. He clicked his pen, eyes glancing at the next presenter. No debate, no negotiation. She left with her head held high, pride bruised. Back in her boathouse, Eli rebuilt shattered circuits of hope. She poured her energy into a new line of research, nanoparticle-guided gene therapy. The lab bench became her sanctuary. Cell cultures thrived. Nanoparticles whispered promises of targeted delivery. Mice models showed signs of neural repair. Her phone buzzed with inquiries, but without the patent's backing, investors balked. The world demanded certainty, not possibility. Yet for Eli, every data point was a heartbeat inching closer to triumph. Late one evening, as thunder rattled the shoreline windows, she reviewed her latest graphs. Neural connectivity increasing, behavioral assays improving. Lightning illuminated the lab in fleeting white bursts. At that moment, she realized 2 truths. Her work wasn't merely theoretical, it was essential. And the forces that once dismissed her might yet beg for her brilliance. She shut down the spectrometer, boots echoing on wooden floors, and glanced at the horizon where sea met sky. Beyond that meeting room lay destiny. Tomorrow, she would attend the Voss Foundation Gala, invited anonymously by an assistant who hinted at reconciliation. She tightened the collar of her lab coat in the mirror, loading vials into a temperature-controlled case. Inside, the nanoparticle serum glowed a hopeful emerald. No longer content to watch from the sidelines, she would claim her place in the arena of power. Yet a tremor of uncertainty coursed through her veins. Could she face the man who once scorned her ideas? What would she say when their eyes met across the gala's crystal-lit floor? Could vulnerability coexist with the steel of conviction? Listeners, what would you do in Eli's shoes? Comment below and prepare for the moment that binds past scars to future salvation. A hush falls as Eli steps into the VIP suite, case of glowing nanoparticle serum in hand. The air is cool, scented with polished wood and old money. She advances toward the presentation alcove, heart drumming like a centrifuge at full speed. Behind her, a waiter balances a tray of champagne flutes. Suddenly, a jostle in the crowd. A guest stumbles, elbowing the tray. Champagne arcs through the air, silver flutes clatter, one shards at Eli's feet. In the chaos, her case tips. The vial of emerald glowing serum skids across marble and smashes against the dais. Liquid pools, hissing as it seeps toward a sleek exoskeleton glove on display. Eli's breath catches. The serum's reactive nanoparticles begin to corrode the glove's chrome plating, sparks flickering like micro fireworks. Gasps ripple through the VIP circle. Cassian just steps away, lunges forward, his fury momentarily blending with instinct to protect. He yanks the glove aside, but not before the serum eats into its circuitry. The prototype spasms, light strobing before silence. Silence, then a roar of whispers. This could ruin everything. The Baron's legacy, compromised. Who is this woman? Eli kneels, pressing trembling fingers against the slick floor, watching her life's work bleed away. She tastes bitterness sharper than any lab reagent. Pride and panic war in her chest. Cassian crouches beside her, eyes storm gray with accusation and something else, curiosity, perhaps. "Explain," he demands, voice low but raw. Around them, cameras flash through open doors. This incident isn't just a spill, it's the spark that could ignite scandal or salvation. For Eli, it's a moment that exposes both vulnerability and power. She straightens, serum dripping between her fingers. "That was my prototype," she says, voice tight. "And you dismissed it." His jaw clenches. The room holds its breath. Will he turn away, or seize the brilliance he once rejected? What would you do in Eli's shoes? Comment below. The broken vial glints in the spotlight, an accident that shatters more than glass. As security moves in, Cassian hails them off, his gaze never leaving Eli's. In that charged silence, a new equation forms. Need plus resentment plus unspoken attraction. But will this catastrophe bind them, or break them both? Eli retreats into a quiet corridor, heartbeat echoing against cool stone walls. The serum's green glow still tinges her fingers. Humiliation burns brighter than any spotlight. She slides down until her back rests against the marble, her mind a whirlwind of self-reproach. How could I be so careless? Behind a frosted glass panel, she hears whispers, security debating whether to escort her out. Lab coats and gowns blur past. Every step feels like a verdict. Her vision narrows to the stain on the marble, a vivid reminder of public failure. In the adjacent lounge, her best friend and lab partner, Arya Chen, emerges from the shadows. Arya's calm presence contrasts Eli's rattled nerves. She kneels beside her, voice steady. "Hey, genius, look at me. Accidents happen, you'll fix this." Her hand closes around Eli's, offering warmth. Eli's thoughts fracture between gratitude and anger. How do I face Cassian now? She recalls his storm gray glare, the tight line of his lips. Did he pity her, or despise her more? Doubt coils in her chest. Maybe he was right. My work is too fragile for this world. Arya produces a pristine vial salvaged from Eli's case. "I grabbed this before security sealed off the suite," she whispers. Relief flickers in Eli's eyes. In that moment, friendship feels as vital as science. Together, they slip toward the hidden lab beyond the gala's glare. Inside the lab's cool light, Arya sets the vial on a steel tray. "We'll reconstruct the formula," she says, "and we'll do it better." Eli exhales, tension ebbing. Memories of rejection letters and corporate dismissals fade under Arya's unwavering belief. But even in this sanctuary, Eli's mind returns to Cassian. His reputation, built on ruthless precision, now teeters on the edge of scandal because of her. Does he blame me, or admire my work enough to forgive the catastrophe? Arya reads her thoughts. You need to decide, hide and regroup, or confront him head-on. What's your next move? Her question hangs between Petri dishes and pipettes. In the lab's sterile glow, Eli feels the weight of every choice. Retreat into safety, or harness the fallout as leverage. Tension coils around her like a spring. Outside, the gala continues, laughter and applause drifting through the ventilation. Inside, two allies prepare to rewrite catastrophe into opportunity. Listeners, could you rise from defeat and face the man who once dismissed you? Comment below. Eli closes her eyes, hands wrapped around the vial. The night's true test awaits. Will she ever trust again? Cassian stands in the lab's doorway, tuxedo jacket slung over one arm, face pale under fluorescent lights. He meets Eli's eyes, less steel blue now, more desperate. Doctor. Marquette, he begins, voice unsteady. Your serum saved the prototype in theory. We need you to rebuild it tonight. Eli straightens, vial held like a talisman. You want me back on your team? Her tone is equal parts challenge and curiosity. Around them, the lab equipment hums as if in anticipation. Cassian nods. This gala was the last chance to impress investors, but without your work, our trials collapse. He steps closer, heat from his presence contrasting the lab's chill. I dismissed your patent, I was wrong. His confession hangs between them. My family's legacy depends on your genius. Will you help? The walls seem to shrink, the future twists on her answer. Memories of rejection flicker in Eli's mind. Cold boardrooms, clipped refusals. Yet in Cassian's eyes, she sees genuine need, more than corporate expedience. His jaw tightens. We have 6 hours before our window closes. I can't do this without you. Silence stretches. Eli watches his fingers tighten around his jacket. She recalls the moment she watched her serum eat through that glove, how his fury turned to something else. Now, fury and vulnerability collide. Why the hurry? She asks. Cassian's gaze flicks to a digital clock above the freezer racks. 10:47 p.m. By 4 a.m., the biosampling team will discard the trial subjects if there's no viable formula. We lose not just revenue, but hope for thousands awaiting treatment. His voice cracks on hope. A weight settles in Eli's chest. Lives hang in the balance. Her own pride wars with empathy. She glances at Arya, whose nod is fierce and unwavering. The world beyond these walls falters without the serum. They know it. What would you do in Cassian's shoes? The narrator asks, drawing listeners closer. The question echoes in the lab's hush. Outside, the gala's music pulses like a heartbeat through the air vents. Cassian steps back, offering his hand. Help me save them, and maybe save us both. The vial glows between them, an ember of possibility. Eli's breath catches. Acceptance could redeem her career, or bind her to a man who once scorned her. Will she shake his hand or walk away? By midnight, Voss Tower's upper floors hum with tension. In the boardroom, Cassian's mother, Valeria Voss, leans over a mahogany table. Her ice-blue eyes narrow. He's brought back the very inventor who embarrassed us. Her voice drips disdain. Around her, board members shuffle papers stamped emergency proposal. Cassian stands his ground. Her serum can salvage our trials. Lives are at risk. He presents a data packet, Eli's preliminary results. Valeria's lips curve in a thin smile. Risk is a luxury we can't afford. If she fails, our scandal deepens. The air chills further, as though power itself turns bone cold. Meanwhile, in the lab hallway, Arya taps her phone. Investors demand answers. What went wrong with the exoskeleton demo? Is the serum stable? Eli's email inbox overflows. Each ping threatens to bury her under demands and doubts. She steels herself. Focus must outweigh fear. Back in the boardroom, Cassian's father, Robert Voss, a stern patriarch, enters. His presence commands hush. I've reviewed her work, he intones. If it succeeds, we reclaim our standing. If not, his gaze flicks to Cassian. Unspoken consequences loom, exile from the company or worse, public disgrace. Cassian swallows. We'll succeed. Valeria's eyes gleam with calculation. Then she'll work under our terms, no exceptions. Eli's heart pounds. Acceptance means corporate oversight and a leash tighter than any patent rejection. Her autonomy teeters on the brink. In the hidden lab, Eli and Arya prepare reagents under flickering neon. The serum's formula demands precision. pH levels within 0.02 units, nanoparticle concentrations exact. One miscalculation and the trial is doomed. Arya's voice trembles. Ready when you are. Eli inhales, steadying the pipette. Back in the boardroom, Cassian's decision crystallizes. Agreed, he says, voice firm. Dr. Marquette retains creative control, no corporate amendments. Gasps ripple through the room. Valeria's lips tighten. Robert inclines his head, inscrutable. The board isn't convinced, but Cassian's word is law tonight. Eli stands at the doorway, data packet in hand. Her gaze meets Cassian's, an unspoken pact forged in adversity. As she steps through, Valeria's final words slice the air. Remember, failure isn't an option for any of you. She crosses the threshold, lab coat brushing polished wood. The door closes, muffling the boardroom's murmurs. Behind her, power struggles swirl like a storm. Ahead, the ticking deadlines and fractured legacies await. What secret gambit will tip the scales? Her unbound genius or their ironclad expectations? Listeners, stay tuned. Late-night fluorescence bathes the hidden lab as Eli adjusts a microscope's focus. Cassian arrives quietly, removing his jacket, revealing a crisp white shirt rolled at the sleeves. His tailored poise softens in this cocoon of glass and steel. He offers her a steaming cup of jasmine tea on a silver tray. The delicate fragrance drifts between them. For focus, he murmurs. Eli accepts, fingertips brushing his. A spark almost imperceptible flickers in the hush. They work side by side, pipettes clicking in rhythm. Neither speaks until Cassian clears his throat. I was wrong about you. His confession lingers. Eli's pulse flutters as she measures serum volume with precision. Truth, she replies softly, is the hardest reagent. Moments stretch. Outside, the city's neon heartbeat pulses through narrow windows. Inside, their breaths synchronize with lab equipment's low hum. Cassian sets aside charts, watching Eli's deft hands coaxing nanoparticles into solution. He marvels at her calm under pressure, so unlike the gala's fraught glare. A stray strand of her auburn hair falls across her cheek. Cassian lifts it gently, tucking it behind her ear. Eli's breath catches. The lab's cold sterility feels charged with warmth. In that touch, hope and hesitation entwine. Suddenly, the pH meter beeps, levels perfect. Eli exhales, eyes alight. Cassian allows himself a small, genuine smile. We did it, he says. Yet before celebration, a warning light flashes on the centrifuge, rotor imbalance. The hum turns jagged, a mechanical growl in the silence. Eli rushes over, heart pounding. It can't fail now. She exchanges a glance with Cassian, who nods, offering steady support. Together, they stabilize the machine, fingers brushing in the cramped space. Sparks of trust and something deeper ignite between them. The centrifuge steadies. Relief floods Eli's features. She meets Cassian's gaze, lips parted as if to speak her gratitude or something more intimate. But a distant alarm echoes through vents. The boardroom's security breach protocol. Their sanctuary fractures. In the corridor's flickering light, footsteps approach. Eyes widen. Have they shown the world too much? What will happen when the doors swing open? A sharp knock echoes through the lab's sealed door. Eli's heart skips. She peers through the glass, familiar silhouette in the corridor. Dr. Marcus Hale, her former research partner and brief fiancé. His tailored suit contrasts with lab coats drifting behind him. He steps inside uninvited, eyes flicking over the centrifuge and the jasmine tea still steaming on the bench. I heard about the accident, he says, voice smooth as distilled confidence. I came to help. Cassian stiffens at Marcus's proximity. Old rivalry sparks in his gaze. Eli feels torn. Marcus once believed in her. Together, they drafted her first patent. But then he left, joining a rival firm that outbid her boathouse team. Marcus approaches the workspace, concern masking something sharper. I know your work better than anyone, he murmurs, sliding a flash drive across the tray. I've compiled stability data. You'll need this. Eli's breath stutters. She glances at Cassian. His jaw clenches. Does she accept Marcus's aid and risk his corporate entanglements, or trust the Baron who dismissed her? Marcus's eyes linger on hers, old intimacy flickering. We had chemistry once, he reminds her. Don't lose it now. His words echo between pipettes and looming deadlines, a warning. The flash drive could contain vital data or a Trojan horse. Marcus's return ignites old hope and fresh uncertainty. Eli's fingers hover over the drive. Listeners, who would you trust in her shoes? Comment below. She pockets the drive and turns away, heart pounding. Outside, the corridor lights dim. Two men's gazes burn into her back. One promises redemption, the other demands loyalty. Which path will she choose? The answer may shatter alliances or forge a new destiny. A sea of cameras and microphones floods the Voss Tower atrium. Cassian stands at a sleek podium beneath the Voss Helix logo, suited executives flanking him like silent sentinels. Reporters jostle for position, lenses trained on the Biotech Baron. The air thrums with expectation and dread. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassian begins, voice steady despite the storm in his eyes. Today we unveil a breakthrough thanks to Dr. Elisa Marquette's serum. Flashbulbs stutter. Murmurs rise. The inventor they dismissed. Is this a last-ditch rescue or a coup? From the side door, Eli steps forward, lab coat crisp, hands clasped. She joins Cassian on stage. Their shared glance sends shockwaves through the crowd. Cameras pivot. A hush falls. Even the board members shift in their seats. A reporter's voice cuts through the tension. Mr. Voss, isn't it risky to credit a rejected patent? How can investors trust this? Laughter ripples. Cassian's jaw tightens, but he nods to Eli. She lifts the vial, a beacon of emerald light, and speaks. All data is transparent. Our trials show 87% efficacy in neural regeneration. Patent status doesn't dictate validity. Another reporter shouts, "What about the prototype explosion at the gala?" Eli meets the question with calm steel. An accident taught us more than any controlled test. We refined the formula overnight. The crowd leans in, hungering for drama or proof. Cassian steps beside her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. I take full responsibility, he declares. We stand behind her work. Applause ripples, but dissenters remain, board members exchanging wary glances. A murmur spreads, Valeria Voss rising from her seat, eyes cold as ice. She lifts a tablet, pointer poised. Why should this board back you, Cassian? Her words slice the celebration in two. The gathered press scribbles furiously. Listeners, what would you do in Eli's shoes? Comment below. In that charged silence, fate hangs on a single question. Will power bow to proof, or crush the woman who dared redeem it? Under the press's scrutiny, Eli's pulse races, until Cassian slides a small velvet box into her hand. The crowd gasps. She opens it to find a slender silver ring etched with a double helix. His voice softens. Because you rewrote our fate, Dr. Marquette. A hush falls. Eli's fingers tremble as she lifts the ring. Tears glint in her eyes, victory and vulnerability entwined. I accept our partnership, she whispers, voice breaking. The Baron's stern facade melts into a genuine smile. Around them, applause blooms like wildfire. Board members rise, reporters lean forward, cameras flash in celebration. In that moment, corporate power and personal redemption merge. Eli slips the ring onto her finger, symbol of trust forged in crisis. Behind the applause, a single note of doubt lingers. Can love born in exigency endure once the spotlight fades? Cassian brushes a tear from her cheek. Together, he vows, we'll heal more than cells. Listeners, could two scarred hearts truly heal? Comment below. As confetti drifts and the crowd's cheers swell, their silhouettes merge beneath the Voss helix, two architects of hope standing at dawn's threshold. What promise will tomorrow's sunrise hold? Months later, Marquette Voss Foundation's gleaming new facility overlooks the shoreline. A glass atrium bathes labs in sunrise gold. Eli oversees a workshop where children build STEM models beside patients testing neural assist devices. Laughter and discovery ripple through halls. Cassian watches from a mezzanine, pride softening his features. He slips into the workshop, handing Eli a tablet streaming live data on their first human trial. Screens glow with progress. Mobility restored, neurons regrown. Hope becomes reality. Eli kneels to adjust a young patient's wearable sensor. In science, every setback teaches, she tells the group. And every breakthrough begins with belief. Applause echoes as families and volunteers celebrate. In a quiet corner, Cassian slips an invitation into Eli's hand, an art exhibit she'd mentioned in passing. "For your next passion," he says. Eli smiles, heart full. Their journey from friction to fusion finds its community in every life they touch. Listeners, what would you create if someone believed in you? Comment below. Beyond the workshops and whirring machines lies a new chapter. A world transformed by brilliance and trust. What's your next dream? And so our tale draws to a close, patent dismissed, hearts repaired, legacies reborn. Thank you for joining this journey of risk and redemption. If you felt the spark of hope, like, share, and subscribe for the next emotional roller coaster. Which billionaire drama should we unravel next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Your voices guide our next saga. Until then, keep dreaming big. This is the storyteller signing off. Stay curious, stay passionate, and we'll see you in the next chapter.